What's going on, gang? Welcome back to another video on High Rollers, Roads, and Rails. Today, I've got an awesome railroad adventure for y'all planned, so make sure you stay tuned. So you guys have heard how much I really enjoy my local rail history, and especially the Norfolk and Western Railway, but also really enjoy the history of many of the local lines that came through my area. I live in the central part of Virginia, not far from Petersburg, Virginia. Petersburg was a huge rail hub for many years, dating all the way back to pre-Civil War. The goal of today's video is to take y'all on a tour of the great rail history of the city of Petersburg, Virginia, and we'll even check out the outskirts. So let's get right into it. Now, the first stop on our tour today is right here in Sutherland, Virginia, just a few minutes away from my house. The track that you see behind me is owned by the Norfolk Southern Railway. However, 40 years ago, this was the mighty Norfolk and Western main line that ran from Norfolk, Virginia to Roanoke, Virginia. Now, if only these tracks could talk, and they could tell you all the great Norfolk and Western history that came across this line, from all the premier passenger trains like the Pocahontas, the Cavalier, the Powhatan Arrow, to the mighty A-Class and the mighty Y6Bs running coal drags from Roanoke down here to Norfolk. An incredible amount of history right here. Another reason that I wanted to start my tour right here is this is close to home. This is hometown for me. But the site that I'm standing on right now, the road crossing right here, this is a road called Station Road. And the reason it's called that is because the Norfolk and Western Railway actually had a station right here in Sutherland. Now, it was just a small little blip on the grand map that was their main line, but there was a station here. Now, I can't get an exact idea of where exactly the station house was, but from talking to some folks that lived back in the day, it was just a couple miles down the track here. And to this day, this is still a very busy set of tracks, as the Norfolk and Southern Railway still moves a tremendous amount of freight along this line. Let's check out a couple of these fast freight trains as they run by before we pack up and head east on US 460 and head into Petersburg. Check it out, gang. Long hood forward, Norfolk and Western style. Alright gang, and that's going to wrap it up here in Sutherland, so let's go ahead and let's head east. We'll follow the line into Petersburg. Now before we head east on the old N&W main line, I did want to come just a few miles west from where we just were, right here to this overpass. So this is one of the few relics still left of N&W history on the line. So check it out, y'all. This overpass right here, you can see right there, Norfolk and Western Railway, dates back to 1928. All the way to the steam era that this structure has been here. Now as you guys can see, Mother Nature has definitely taken a toll on it. But it's still here and it's definitely not going anywhere. There are many of these overpasses still along the line. A few more I know just farther west, but this is the one closest to me. I really want to show it to you guys. Alright gang, I've made my way east now. We are in the heart of Petersburg. Right here, this area is the historic district of Petersburg, but it's also referred to by the locals as Old Town. And behind me is the oldest surviving passenger station in the state. This is the Southside Railroad Station. So this building that we're looking at here again is the Southside Railroad Station. It was built in 1854 by the Southside Railway. This building obviously was here before the Civil War, so it was part of the siege of Petersburg. This rail line was used primarily during the war to bring Confederate troops into the city of Petersburg, where they would be sent off to hospitals after being injured in battle. Again, this is the oldest surviving railroad station in the state of Virginia. The building can actually still be seen with cannonball damage in certain places that have original beams. This was primarily a freight depot for the Southside Railway. The building survived the war and was later used as offices until they finally closed up the station. Coming down, you see parts of the building that have decayed and been lost over the years, but the brickwork on this outer edge is still here. Very impressive. I'm now here on the back side of the Southside Railroad Depot. As you can see, they do have one piece of vintage rolling stock here. They have this old caboose. Now all this stuff is out here for display, but unfortunately, being as historic as this building is, it is not any type of museum or any such thing. The building is upkept and maintained. You can actually see in some of my earlier shots that they are doing some roof work on the building. It does have a newer metal roof on it. So it is being maintained. The building is owned by the city, I do believe. And I'm not exactly sure what it's used for. I want to say it's an event hall. But in my opinion, there's so much potential down here for a really fantastic railroad museum. And that definitely needs to change. Take a quick look at this caboose. I am not sure what railroad that this caboose came from. But it seems to be in pretty good shape. Some more remnants of part of the depot that's been destroyed. I did find out that upon further research, the depot here is currently under renovations by the city. with hopes to have the National Park Service opening up a museum for the Petersburg National Battlefield in here for this. So that would be great. But of course, like I said, Petersburg is not the greatest with funding, so we'll see how it goes. But man, this would be a great attraction to reopen for tourists, because I mean, what an incredible piece of history. Also, what I neglected to mention earlier is that the right side of the station here, where you can see that is tore down, actually withstood a long time, but was damaged in the early 90s after a tornado came through the Old Town Petersburg area and pretty much ripped the roof and most of this building down. But so incredible that it's still standing. Now you will see here there is a active line here. This is old N&W trackage, now owned by Norfolk Southern. And it is an active line. Not a busy area, because this is part of the Y track that's in Petersburg, used to turn locomotives on the main line. But occasionally you do get to see a local come through here every once in a while. So maybe we'll get lucky. And speaking of the Norfolk and Western, let's go talk about this. So this beautiful building that we're looking at here, this is Petersburg Union Station. This station was built by the Norfolk and Western Railway in 1909 and completed in 1910. This station was built right here at the junction of Norfolk and Western trackage with Atlantic Coastline trackage. The purpose of the station here in Petersburg was so that people could transfer off of a Norfolk and Western train onto an Atlantic Coastline train. Many passengers would use this connection point from the east coming out of Norfolk and the west coming out of Roanoke, and even as far as Ohio, as far as the Norfolk and Western would go out, coming to this point where they would merge with Atlantic Coastline, which could run you as far south as Florida or as far north as New York. The Atlantic Coastline left this station in 1955 after they constructed their new station in Ettrick, leaving this only to the Norfolk and Western until the end of passenger service in 1971, when passenger service was handed over federally to Amtrak. The station continued service with Amtrak until 1979, when Amtrak ceased operations out of Petersburg Union Station. In 1980, the building was marked as a historic national landmark, which has kept it preserved to this day. The building is currently owned by the city of Petersburg and is used as an event hall for weddings and other gatherings. So again, like I said, this is not a museum or anything. It's used as an event hall. So we won't be able to go inside, but I am going to take a peek through the window just to give you an idea of what the inside of the building looks like. And it is still in beautiful shape on the inside. So as you can see, all the way through steam and even towards the beginning of diesel era, Petersburg was a very important connection point between many railroads right here in the heart of Virginia. I must say, after living here my entire life, it is very, very disappointing that there is no railroad museum in Petersburg. There's really not even much to mark the history, the great rail history in this town. That's extremely disappointing. I really hope that at some point that we can change that. There are a few markers here and there, but this area here, you've got two historic stations side by side. I couldn't think of a better place to have a railroad museum, so I can't see it. Petersburg is such a impoverished town. They struggle sometimes just to budget to get the essentials in, so unless this was ever sold to somebody private, I can't ever see it happening. But hey guys, fingers crossed that one day that this place will be preserved into a beautiful museum. But at least thank goodness that it is still here for us to see today. This view from the track side of Petersburg Union Station. As you can see, the landscape is very different from what it would have been in service. Just a single track is left, but at one point there was multiple track through here. Over in this area right here, from pictures that I've seen, there were some Railway Express Agency buildings. This would have been a very busy place in the 40s and 50s when the Norfolk and Western and Atlantic Coastline were running service through here. The area that I'm walking through here now would have been the station platform. Check it out, gang. This is an old railroad spike. I don't think anybody would be looking for that. It'd be a nice little memento to take home for today. So this brickwork that you see here, which I will show you in a picture of the station when it was in service, this again would have been part of the platform area in between tracks. It's hard to believe that brickwork is still here. Looks like they've paid over top of part of it, but the remnants of it is still there. May be hard to see here, but if you can see that the one line coming towards me, that's the old N&W trackage. And the line that splits there, well, that would have been the Atlantic Coastline trackage. The line to your right has since been abandoned. I believe now it's just used for storage track. The only active trackage is the one coming through the curve here towards us. This is your entrance coming into the station area. See, many of the rails still lay in the old cobblestone roads right here in front of the station. All right, gang, let's hop in a Tahoe and we're gonna go to the other side of town and check out a few more things. So let's ride now. Okay, gang, all right, changing up lines here. We're now at the only active railroad station left in the city of Petersburg. This is Petersburg Station, right here in Petersburg, Virginia. So this station again was built in 1955 by the Atlantic Coastline, which is also this original trackage here was originally the Atlantic Coastline main line. Came right here through Petersburg, Virginia. As you guys can see, this place is very dated. Some would say it still looks like 1955 here. But this is the only passenger station left operating in the city. So for those that aren't familiar, this is the new Siemens Charger engines. Amtrak has adopted these the last couple of years. Okay, gang, we made it to our next stop here in our little Petersburg Railroad history tour. And I bring to you here these piers. So you're thinking, well, Dylan, what's the point of that? These piers were here for a railroad trestle for the Seaboard Airline Railroad. So as you can see at one time, this was a massive trestle bridge. It would have ran all the way across this gorge here. And underneath of it, you'll notice the grade crossing right there. This is the same Norfolk and Western trackage that would have taken you to Petersburg Union Station. This mighty trestle bridge was built to cross this. This is the Appomattox River. Up there on the hilltop, that is Virginia State University, one of the oldest HBCUs in the country. Beautiful out here. This is the Appomattox River Trail. And I have one more surprise, but we got to take a quick walk to get there. Well, some might say this adventure has gone off the beaten path, but this is the Appomattox River walking trail. Parallels the river. And we are headed down to something that I've actually never taken the time to go look at. So this will be a first for me and y'all. But there is a massive CSX bridge about a mile down the trail here, and I want to go check it out. So we're headed that way now. It's about a mile walk. That's good exercise. This is actually a little branch off the river. See through the trees there. I don't know how well you guys can see, but the river does split right here. Beautiful down here. You guys can see we're still paralleling the old Norfolk Western trackage, but you can tell we've gotten plenty of rain. The river is moving. Alright, gang, as you see, I'm sweating. It's hot. It's about a mile, maybe a mile and a half hike to get here, but here we are. Our next stop on the tour is the CSX bridge. So built by Virginia Bridge and Iron Company out of Roanoke in 1913. This massive single track bridge spans across the Appomattox River for trackage that's now run by CSX, and as you guys just saw, Amtrak. This is actually the line that will take you into the Ettrick Amtrak station. Absolutely massive structure. Man, I don't know how I timed it perfect that I just made that, you know, over a mile walk down here, and it just so happened that an Amtrak train passes as soon as we get down here. So, hey, sometimes when you're lucky, you know. Let's go ahead and take in this beautiful scene while we're here. Here's one more shot of the bridge before I make the trek back, but pretty cool. Pretty cool we got to see that Amtrak go across, so yeah, I guess it was worth the walk down here. Alright, let's get back to the truck. So one thing, gang, I will advise you, if you've never been to the city of Petersburg or not really familiar with the area, I would advise you, if you ever come here for rail fanning or whatever, use caution. If it looks like a bad area, it's probably a bad area. The city is very poor. 90% of it is on the rundown side. So there's a lot of great rail history here and a lot of great places to see trains, but I highly advise that you use caution. But again, I certainly wouldn't deter anybody from coming here because there really is some fantastic stuff to see around the area. There's a reason that I refer to Petersburg as the forgotten rail town. Okay, gang, and we've made it to my last stop for the day on this Petersburg Railroad tour, and we are right here at CSX's Collier Yard. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get too close because we're not going to trespass on railroad property, but this is a massive yard just outside of the city of Petersburg, and there is always rail traffic coming through here. This is a very busy line. This is a very popular spot for rail fanning in the area, as I'll show you guys in just a minute, but awesome place to come watch trains. right, gang, that's going to wrap it up from Collier Yard. That is a great spot to rail fan. I mean, it's very popular. There was probably 6 or 7 other guys there filming and watching trains, so had some company to talk to while we were there. That was nice. But a great spot nonetheless, because you do get to see CSX traffic and Norfolk Southern traffic in one spot. So cool place to film some trains. Well, I was there 45 minutes and got to see 3 different trains. So great spot. But that's going to wrap up my rail tour of Petersburg today. I had a lot of fun filming this. Again, this was something I really didn't have a major plan on going in on, but I knew there was a bunch of cool stuff in the area and I wanted to bring it to y'all. So I asked that if you enjoyed this video, learned anything, got anything out of it, just ask that you like, comment, subscribe. You know, stay with the channel, y'all. I'm having a lot of fun bringing you videos every week. I'm trying to stay on my grind. Let me know what you guys want to see next. But with that, we'll see y'all down the line.